once they get going.
Yeah.
Okay. Next on the agenda is to swear in our new trustee, or our returning trustee.
New used.
New yeast.
Old new.
And put your index finger on your nose. Tilt your head back.
Okay.
I, Brendan Porter,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of Mancos,
and the ordinances of the town of Mancos,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of trustee
the duties of the office of trustee
upon which I have been appointed.
upon which I have been appointed.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the roll call. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Queen Lars,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson,
Here.
Trustee Dick Manning,
Here.
Trustee Brett McWhirter,
Here.
Trustee Ed Allen,
Here.
Trustee James Bryan,
Here.
Trustee Richard Tovar.
Here.
Well, we have a quorum, so we will continue on. Next is the approval of the agenda.
I move that we amend the agenda by adding an item number 5 under discussion and action items. And this would be Resolution 6, Series 2023, Cortez Dispatch IGA.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Brent McWhirter to amend the agenda by adding item number 5 under the discussion and action items. Resolution 6, Series 2023, the Cortez Dispatch IGA. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of February 8th, 2023. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 8th, 2023 minutes as presented by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Richard Tucker and seconds by Trustee Dick Manning and Janice Bryant to approve the minutes of February 8th, 2023 as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Motion carries. Next is Roadmaps to Recovery presentation by Jessica Thurman from the Montezuma County Economic Development. Welcome.
Thank you. You passing out the past one, take one past down. Well, thank you guys for letting me come over tonight and give you this presentation. I'm excited. You're one of the first town councils that we get to present this to. So you have to bear with me and make sure you give me some feedback if I go talk too fast or not giving you guys the information you need. Jason, go ahead and go to the next one. So I'm here today to actually talk with you guys about the Montezuma Community Collective.
Wait a minute. Can we turn that down just a little bit? It's echoing.
Am I standing too close too?
No, it's just echoing.
Try that.
Hello? Hello?
No.
Now it's too quiet. Or is that okay?
Yeah, I can
It's a little too quiet.
I feel like Goldilocks already.
You're good.
Just right.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right. So in order to understand about Montezuma Community Collective, I want to talk a little bit about the Roadmaps project. I'm not sure. I don't know for sure if any of you guys, Heather and Queenie were around. Shaq Powers and Rachel Marchbanks probably came to you guys probably the end of 2021 and spoke to you about the Roadmaps project. that they were getting ready to start doing. And the Roadmaps project, its official name is the Colorado COVID-19 Regional Resilience and Recovery Roadmaps Program. And Jason, you can go to the next one. So we were, Montezuma County was one of 16 different regional counties that were chosen to come up with a strategic plan. And you can go ahead and change to the next slide. And so with that strategic plan, they came up with 3 different phases that they would like to go ahead and move through. And then I'm here today to talk about the implementation plan. So we worked with, so the Regional Resiliency COVID-19 Roadmaps Plan, whatever direction you want to put that in, it was through the state partners and then the Economic Development Administration. And it was set up to really look at how communities, especially rural communities, could rebound from COVID, and that they could be more resilient and then face the shocks and stressors that might face, whether it be climate or whether it be another pandemic, knock on wood. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But so they took this approach, and you can go ahead and go to the next slide. How's that for? All right. No, there you go. So within that first phase, which I don't know if you guys read that quick little slide, but within that first phase, we hired some consultants, and they met with a ton of different community stakeholders and community members. They did one-on-one interviews, we did big meetings, we did a ton of background research, we compiled different data resources. We really, really took a deep dive into what the needs in the community were. And so from that, they decided that there's only 6 things wrong with that community. And the 6 things that they thought were wrong were pretty big, though. You can see there that we needed some better business support systems. We needed to attract and retain industry, educational workforce development, water. That's not big, right? Water and ag, housing choice and affordability, and then mental and behavioral health. And so from those six goal areas, they developed out some priorities and some strategies around those priorities. And these are the top 10 that they really narrowed it down and distilled it down to. And so from that, we wanted to figure out what we could do. How can we really make sure that we have a project that's not just sitting in a binder on a shelf somewhere? And how can we really get down to the nitty-gritty of addressing these issues? So that's when we came up with, ta-da! I'm going to do this thing. It's supposed to, press it one more time. There we go. That's when we came up with Montezuma Community Collective. And so Montezuma Community Collective is really going to be the vehicle that we're hoping that will carry out the roadmaps implementation. That it'll be a chance for us to really get to the community, really bring some community members in, and to make sure that we're not just talking about the same 10 people that are coming in and supporting these community efforts. And so you can go ahead and go to the next one, Jason. So just like the roadmaps plan, I've kind of broke it down into 3 strategies and how we're going to implement these goals that we have. And using the roadmaps plan as kind of guide rails to give us an idea of what we need to start working on. And so the first strategy, MCC will create an environment for collaboration among partner organizations and community members. MCC for strategy 2 will prepare community leaders to solve local problems. And MCC will equip members to sustain community development work. And so, strategy number 1, this is where my work is definitely cut out for me. I am really working hard to get some community members engaged so we can create some action teams. So we can create some, sort of, I say action teams, but you probably know them as task force or whatever have you, to really look at addressing and digging into these 5 focus areas a little bit deeper. And so you'll see with the roadmaps plan, there was the 6 goal areas. We've kind of narrowed it down a little bit and changed it around to the 5. But we'll also have the steering team to help us facilitate and direct and to help support those action teams. That steering team, Jason has been an instrumental part. He's helped us all along. We have Region 9, we have Heather Otter, Shaq Powers, and then we also have Rachel Marchbanks, who's been a part of this too. And then we have right now, for a short time longer, we have a regional program director. Her name's Morgan Ferris from DOLA that's on that steering team. And that steering team and the action teams are kind of very organic right now, and we're still in the process of developing them. We're still in the process of recruiting people to participate. So if any of those areas, Heather, that housing right there, if any of those groups look like they might be something you're interested in, we definitely would love to have you. So starting here in April, I'll start doing some more community outreach, trying to get more communities involved, our community members involved in those groups. So there'll be flyers and more information to come on that. So strategy 2, this is something that's pretty exciting. MCC, I'm really big on wanting to partner, wanting to work together, not wanting to duplicate efforts within the community. And so we've created a really good working relationship with the Montezuma Leadership Network, which I'm sure probably most of you in here have heard about it. But it's something that's been around for a long time. It kind of died down for a little bit. But there's been some great movement on trying to regenerate this program and to get it back up and running again. So we are going to partner with Montezuma Leadership Network to, again, try to get more people, so it's not just those same 10 people. And also so that they can provide some leadership and support for our facilitators and for our members that are in the action team. So it's not people just out there flying blind. We're not just, here's a big project, people, go do it, go fix it. We're having that support and creating that development. We're also hoping that our partnership with MLN will create some incentives for people to want to participate. And it will also, we have some seed money to where we can provide some scholarships. So people that are participating within our action teams, we are hoping that we'd also be able to provide them some scholarship dollars to participate in the MLN program or the cohort once they get that off the ground. And then our last strategy. One of the great things with roadmaps is the visibility that it'll bring. One thing that I've really seen that hinders our community is the division and the fear that we have when we're bringing new things to the table. We don't have a lot of buy-in from the community. We don't have a lot of support around certain things, or, I can't say that with all things, but there's a lot that people, they don't understand. Like, why are we changing water bills? Why are we putting affordable housing? Why are we doing this? And so that social worker, because I'm a social worker by trade, that's my jam. I really think that the more we educate people, the more that we let people have buy-in into projects, the more they're going to want to take ownership of it. They're going to want to get more involved. So with MCC, we're really hoping that visibility is going to bring and lessen, bring new people and then lessen that divide that we have, and create those connections that the community is wanting and really looking for in participating in projects in the community. The other thing is we have already received quite a bit of funding to implement this project, implement MCC and implement all of roadmaps altogether. But we do have some quick connections to seed money. So these action teams, if they are able to identify something, they're able to act quickly. We don't have to go through a whole grant process or anything like that, and it's not a substantial amount, but we're able to get projects started and off the ground quickly. And then furthermore, the Roadmaps project is linked to so many different state organizations. It's pretty much, I don't want to say promise, but if we can highlight that anything that we're doing is connected to roadmaps, it looks really good in our favor when we're applying for different grants through the state. this is a state project. The state wants to make sure that what they came up with is working. So if we could say, yeah, it's working, here's why, here's this, then it works in our favor. And so this strategy here, I think, is an important piece, that it is beneficial to our community, and that it will help in creating that buy-in and that support. So our key takeaways today with MCC is that we really want to build relationships. For instance, the tribe has been really, really involved with this project. I presented to them earlier last month, and they loved it. I'll be doing some community listening sessions out there, just as I am planning on doing here. And so they're wanting to be involved, which is huge. And hopefully it'll create better relationships with everybody within this county. It'll give voice to community members. We'll be able to take action without duplicating work. There's such great work going on in our county. We don't want to duplicate it. We don't want to compete with each other. We all want to work together. And then we'll be investing in leaders, and then the connection to funding that this project will bring. So, I hope that wasn't too quick. How am I doing on time? But is there any questions, concerns? Hit me with it. I'm willing to answer or fend off whatever I need to.
I was going to ask about how you're going to try to include, our indigenous population and, other people that aren't necessarily represented in the room right now. And so you answered that. You've been out to talk to the tribe. Sounds like they're excited about it.
Definitely. We've had representation from the tribe throughout the whole process. One thing I didn't mention is the youth piece to this. The youth is a really important thing to me personally. I think we need to invest in them as much as we can. And so we are working and looking at different ways that we can get the youth involved with this project or on board as much as possible.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Okay, moving right along, we will have audience business, and we have Jory McCannon signed up. You want to come and give your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jory McCann, and my address is 721 Grand Avenue. This is my friend Jeff, and I'll introduce him in a second. How many seconds did you say I have?
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes, great. So I just want to give you guys a brief overview. We have a proposal for a skate park facelift, what we've been calling it. The skate park in Mancos is a little bit funny. There were pieces that were bought and then they were put in, and I don't think there were a ton of skaters involved in that. So it's lacking flow, and it makes it a little bit challenging for beginners. So we're going to tell you about that a little bit more if you want to hear about it. But first, I just want to tell you what Montezuma Youth Alliance does. And thank you for your attention, and maybe we should talk a little bit later. Because, so Montezuma Youth Alliance started, we built in our programming in 2020, and one of our main, we started doing programming in 2021, the summer of 2021, and we do teen engaged suicide prevention through a program that we call the Mancos Wellbeing Project, which came to being after Dustin's suicide in the summer of 2021. And then the Reading Buddies program, which is the literacy program that we partner with the library for. And the skate park facelift is a big part of something that came out of just wanting to engage more youth and asking them what they wanted, and they always say, we want a better skate park. They also say we want a rec center, which I know you guys are working on the long-term plan. Anyway, this is my friend Jeff. We've been working with the Hive. Montezuma Youth Alliance worked with the Hive in collaboration. We brought 7 kids from the Mancos Middle School and High School to Purgatory for the SOS, or Snowboard Outreach Society program. So we had 7 at-risk youth that got to go up snowboarding for free. Everything was covered. And so Jeff works at the Hive, and we got this funding from United Way to make improvements to the skate park, and I'm just going to let him introduce himself and talk about what we just minorly what we want to do to the skate park, and then we'll give you a full proposal next meeting.
Hi, my name is Jeff Hamner, and I live at 1998 County Road 205. And yeah, I helped build the Hive, and the dream was to have a youth dedicated space and kind of bring it indoors so that when kids can't afford to make it up to the mountain, they can afford to come and visit us and utilize our space to get active, get moving. We teach sewing classes, we teach a create a skateboard class, and those things invigorate the kids and give them something to hold on to that reminds them that they contributed to their own swagger. And so when kids feel good about what they're doing for themselves and get to show it to their friends, and I think we could even get the youth involved in replanning the positioning of the current features, because right now they're all consolidated going diagonally, which leaves two kind of napkin folds out to the side that are actually not utilized at all. Whereas if we set up the features a little bit differently, then it would invigorate the kids to get back down there, because it's not the same as it was, even though it's the same as it was, just different positioning. And then, yeah, beyond that, if we have money that can be allocated from the Youth Alliance so that the city is not even reliable for that, we could even potentially add features that are fabricated elsewhere, and or we have super well trained people to build forms and pour concrete and or build portable features out of fabricated metal and other means. So what we are proposing is that instead of all the features being kind of led towards each other, giving the kids a chance to say what could be best and giving the kids some suggestions of what might be more conducive for learning, and kind of consolidating the features instead of right in the middle, kind of over to one side, and or to either side, and leaving the middle open area so that you can use the skate park in a cyclical motion, and utilize the center for more of the beginner standard features. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your support in hearing our introduction to our proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is announcements. Heather.
So I do have,
Huh?
Is there anyone else that wants to speak that wasn't signed up?
Does anybody else want to speak that wasn't signed up? You came in late. Did you want to speak?
I'm going to have the events as well.
Okay.
Show my support.
Okay. All right.
That's the only reason why I said it.
Okay. Just wanted.
Just in case. I didn't want her to sit here and miss it if she had something to say.
Okay. All right. Okay, Heather.
So I do have a few announcements, and then I'll check with the other department heads. But just a reminder, and a head count possibly, some of you have responded, our board meeting at the Youth Council is on March 16th from 7 to 9. I've heard from a few of you, but for those who haven't responded to me, could you let me know if you're planning to do so I can send them a head count?
I'll be out of town.
Everybody else plan on going?
Yeah, we go.
Okay.
Ed?
I'm stuck with the work thing that I don't know if I can get out.
Why don't you say yes in case you can't, and that way they've got you in for the ed count?
I would love to go.
That way-
That was my intent, was to go until.
Right.
And if you don't show up, we get extra cookies.
That's right. So,
Okay, put me down for yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah. I'm good for the cookies now.
And I'm sorry, did you?
I emailed you.
Okay.
I think everybody's gonna try and go, except Brent, you'll be out of town, we'll forgive you
And
this
that's
time.
from 6 to 8, right?
That's from 7 to 9.
7 to 9.
On that same day,
He's
the
gonna drive
Chambers
you home.
having their annual meeting. Their annual meeting's from 4:30 to 6 at the brewery. So does anybody want to attend that? Because if I have more than 3 of you, I do need to notice a public meeting. So I really want to find out.
Do we get chauffeurs?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
If it's at the brewery, do we get chauffeurs?
Sorry.
Get an Uber.
And if you do want to attend the chamber meeting, you don't, I mean, if you need to leave before 6, you can do that. So, but I want to put it out there, so know that that's there at the brewery from 4:30 to 6 on March 16th. The joint workshop with the school board was moved to April 12th at 6 p.m. We have an affordable housing financial analysis underway. Jason's been working really hard on that. I wanted you to know we're working on something, and then once we have some more details and some more information, we'll be bringing that to you all for discussion. But looking at a potential spot in town for maybe some affordable workforce housing development. So I wanted to let you know that it's on the radar and it's being worked on, and when we have something concrete, we'll bring it to you. Jason has also been working with Justin. They're researching and going to be applying for congressional direct spending for the Marshal's office building construction. Jason, I'm sorry?
I'm working on it.
Sorry, Justin's working with Jason. Jason's doing a lot of grants are absolutely crazy because we have all of these projects. This is the time that all the grants are due, so poor Jason's in the world. Like, we need money. And he's been doing a ton of research for us. We have the discussion with CDOT, the FIR meeting with CDOT on Monday, Jerry and Jason and I, because we are applying for TAP funding for the sidewalks on Grand Avenue. They are doing the ADA intersection portion of the project from Monty to Main Street, and then one on Main and Bower. So the town is going to partner with them to install sidewalks along Grand where they're partnering. The sidewalks that are existing, we will be working with those property owners once we get going on this construction of the non-existent sidewalks. But that is phase 1. So we have an FIR meeting. I don't want you guys to get your hopes up. The CDOT projects will take, on average, 5 to 7 years. It's just
really?
how it is. Where it's okay, but I promise they will get done. And I will say, CDOT's been amazing. They are working with us on the TAP grant. They are allowing us to piggyback onto their project. So one of the things that we have discussed, and at our level here and at CDOT, we have agreed that if we can provide the TAP funding for our sidewalk portion, we will eventually be coming to you wanting to enter into an IGA with CDOT because they will manage the construction. So it's a really, really good deal for the town. Yes.
In terms of economy of scale,
Yes.
I think if the homeowners with really busted up concrete could get on board, and put money into the project or something, while we've got somebody there.
Well, CDOT is managing the construction, and they will only do municipals.
Okay.
Because our code requires that the property owners maintain sidewalks. It is not a government project.
Yeah.
So when we build them, that's one thing, but once they're built, they become a property owner responsibility.
Yeah.
And so CDOT is actually doing the project and the construction and the construction management. So we will have to deal with that with our sidewalk replacement program and that type of thing outside of this project.
But it could be done concurrently.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
It can be done concurrently if the construction teams are going to be bumping up against each other. And then for phase 2 of this project, the plan, and we'll be discussing that with you as part of our capital plan update. Phase 2 is going to be sidewalks on one or both sides of Grand from Main Street to the east side of town. So they're years out, they're years in the plan. in it, but know that CDOT's actually been incredibly responsive and very helpful. They're going to be assisting us with the TAP grant and that kind of thing. So it's actually happening. We have talked about it. You may have seen them out there doing their scoping and their surveying. So we're actually having that fire meeting on Monday. And like I said, don't get your hopes up. The pedestrian crossing project took 8 years. The bridge took 6 years. So these are.
So we're going down.
So you're getting better at it.
This could be 4 years.
Yeah, we're getting better.
But they are multiple year projects, and especially this one, because we're going to be working on CDOT schedule. But what that did, just as an example, our original engineer budget, when we have to follow their project, when we have to do engineering, when we have to do surveying, when we have to do construction management, I just reached out to our engineering and was like, hey, can you give me a budget? And it was 1.2. We are now looking at 400 grand. So it's a big deal, and I'm willing to wait 3 or 4 years to save almost $1 million.
Right.
That's why we like you.
Yeah, so like I said, it takes a little bit of time, but anyway, what else? Other than that, I don't have anything else for you guys. Do you have something?
Yeah, I've been looking for a 8-foot V blade for the new public works truck. I have not been able to find one, but I did find a 9-foot V blade, and we got it for the price of an 8-foot.
Nice. Good job.
And it's
All right. Good job.
Good job.
I didn't think we were putting one on that truck.
Excellent.
Okay, anybody else, anybody on the board have anything?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along to the committee reports, the Montezuma County Commissioner update. I don't see Gerald here again. The Montezuma County Planning Commission update, the meeting is tomorrow night, so I will be attending that. Region 9.
I'm gonna give you a good report next meeting. They just sent something yesterday, and I there's so much to ingest. I just couldn't get it all in. So, good report next meeting.
Okay. See that?
So Heather and I both attended it on Zoom, and it's a there was one thing, congressional direct spending is coming available in March. Both Hickenlooper and Bennett's office encourage applications. TAP grant applications are now available, which Heather's already applying for one. A mandatory pre-application meeting with CDOT is required. Draft applications are due by 3/25, with the final application due by 4/21. Region 9 will offer assistance to locate trainers and testers for CDLs in the region. Region 9 is putting together a transit provider landing page to give citizens information on how to get anywhere in our region if they do not have access to a vehicle. And CDOT and attendee projects were provided with nothing new there.
Thank you.
You bet.
I think it's going to be e-bikes.
E-bikes, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, and I apologize, I forgot during the announcements. Do you guys have any questions on this FYI that was behind the agenda as far as what projects staff is currently?
Oh, the only thing so to Justin, when you get more information, will you be giving us an update about how far we are about, starting the building and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, is we're most likely have to approve contract for different grants and everything else.
Okay. Thanks.
Heather, I do have a question. I've had several people ask me about Dollar General. And then some people say, oh, I heard it was canceled and this and
It's
what's.
not canceled.
Okay.
It is on hold. They have submitted multiple versions of their proposal. Staff has been going back and forth with them for almost a year now, if I remember correctly, as far as meeting code and some of the other requirements. We are finally at the point where we have agreed agreed on almost all of the items. There are 2 outstanding items. However, there is currently an issue between 2 private property owners of that location, so the town is out of that project until they decide. The project is going to go forward. Dollar General is pretty adamant that they are going to be located here. Everything they have submitted complies with our code and is in use by right. So they don't need to ask permission for anything. They're not asking for the variations for signs and that kind of thing. I am hoping to bring information to you because we have discussed some architectural details that we might like to see but are not required in our code. They have indicated willingness to consider those in return for some economic development incentives. That I will be bringing to you all as soon as the new project manager and I can. Right now, the ball is in my court. I just haven't had time. So I'm hoping to sometime next week compile a list of all of the development fees associated with the project, circle back around with her, negotiate, and then bring the information to you all. But regardless of that, until those 2 property owners resolve their dispute, the town will not provide permission.
Has the applicant heard back from CDOT in terms of that intersection?
That was my question.
That is one of the 2 things that we are discussing. I do know, and I have been in contact with CDOT, that they have submitted. The problem is that the application needs to be signed by the property owner. The town does not own any streets in that subdivision at this time because none of them have been brought up to town code.
Right.
The way it works is they improve the streets to our construction standards and then they do the streets to us. The 2 property owners need to figure out who's going to do what, and who's going to do right of way, and that kind of thing. And then they can sign the CDOT permit and move forward with that. That is one of the things we'll look at. But until they figure that out, the town doesn't really have anything.
So they don't even know what CDOT's requirements will be until they turn in that
I think
request.
CDOT may have given them some, you're probably gonna have to do this and this and this. We have an access control plan at that location, which is an agreement with CDOT. So when CDOT's looking at any development along the highway, they keep that in, they take that into consideration. I am pretty sure that the Dollar General people are savvy enough to at least have some idea of what they're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
But that is one of the items that we haven't, one of the reasons that we haven't approved a building permit at that location. And we can't until the private property owners resolve the letter.
Yeah, because it's already dangerous. I hate turning left to come into my subdivision. Yeah, it's terrifying.
And I have asked CDOT, and Randy has been incredibly wonderful about, don't forget about our access control plan. Don't forget about our access control plan. Don't forget about this project. So I know they take it into consideration when they're making their decisions, but there has been no official access permit issued, which also is a condition of our issue.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't get built and sit empty like the one in Duck Creek.
They can't even break ground until we issue a building permit, and I won't issue a building permit until all fees are paid, whatever this happens to be after negotiation, and CDOT access permit, and then there's some other building requirements that they'll have to obviously follow. So, but Safe Built and David and SGN, every time we receive anything, we have a team that needs to review so that we're all on the same page and all code requirements of our land use code are being.
Do we still have in our code, and this is way off topic, I shouldn't even ask, but no internally lit signs? Like the signage needs to be directionally lit? Yeah.
We do. It needs to be downlit because something that's been sitting in my inbox for a while now is International Dark Sky certification.
Yeah.
So in order to achieve that certification, our signs and lights and that kind of thing have to meet certain requirements.
Okay.
So the town does have a requirement that you cannot have an internal lit sign.
Excellent.
Now, there are some exceptions to that, public signs.
Yeah.
School districts, town of Mancos, conservation districts, some of those signs are exempt, but we do have that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So moving right along then to the treasurer's report, the February bills and claims. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. And just fair disclosure, I gave staff a heads up so that they could be prepared. So I was just curious about these things. So there's a couple of companies that hauled snow for us. There's Four Corners Welding. I was wondering what they did. The P&D, WTP for like $201 or something. And then the Seoma Basin Health tests, I was wondering if those were like water quality tests or whatever. And then USA Blue Book supplies for almost $1,300. So let us have it.
There were two companies for snow hauling, and Terry will have to get more in depth if he wants specifics on it. But it was just too much snow. I know for them to use our truck, it would have taken them a lot longer to get the snow haul. That's why there were two companies that were brought in on that. So if you have more in-depth questions, I'll have that.
Okay. So it's a quantity issue, so we can do it. It's just we were overwhelmed.
Well, in those 2 days, we had the two rental dump trucks and our dump truck.
Yeah.
In 2 days, we hauled just under 300 loads of snow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Where did it go?
And for more insight, the snow pile down at the end of the beach in Riverside by the cul-de-sac at the junior high.
Mm-hmm.
We worked on that with our truck alone, and we hauled for 3 days straight, and we got probably 90% of it in 3 days. So we just have a tiny little dump truck. So.
Yeah, because I was thinking we had one, but I couldn't remember what size. Okay, that explains it.
Mid-range.
Our dump truck, you can put like 1.5 scoops. The full-size dump truck, you can put 6 scoops.
And where did you take the snow?
We took it off the lot, we took it to Toppenwood, and we also took a bunch up to the gravel pit.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Four Corners Welding, that was an left hard facing 1/8 Scooby. Please don't ask me what that is.
Terry.
Hard surfacing rod that we put on the backhoe bucket, the snow bucket, on the cutting edges.
Okay.
It makes it last longer.
Okay.
So we're not replacing the cutting edges as fast. And that was also for a bottle of 70 and a bottle of Argon.
Okay. Thank you.
P&D, I guess that was the water treatment plant. When I transfer this from Cassell and then condense it, I try to remember to add everything because it combines all of it into one and an only cold water treatment plant. But this was also like food for public works. It was more than one thing.
Okay.
And it is water testing for San Juan Basin.
Okay.
And then the supplies for Blue Book were pH test, ample kit, spec check, LR, DP, chlorine filter, logo pack bags.
Water and wastewater supply.
Yes.
Okay.
Water, yeah.
Sounded like it. It sounded like it was going there. Okay.
What about
Thank
Blair's
you.
towing? What did we have towed?
That came out of the community, fund we had a young couple with an extremely small baby in that break of the snowstorms, stuck over by Mancos Hill. And they blew their donut. They had no other spare, and so they didn't have enough money to buy a tire and a tow. So out of our community fund, we got them to a safe location for, we're not gonna leave a family stranded with a little baby. So we got them, we towed them to Worst States or Big O, I believe, and they got their own tire, but we just helped them get there.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's
Cool. Great.
That's great.
Thank you. That's all.
All right.
I move we approve bills and claims as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Dick Manning to approve bills and claim, February bills and claims as presented by staff. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is our discussion and action items. First is the Town of Mancos financial policies update.
I do want to change my recommendation. I have not heard back from the auditor yet on those investment policies. I was hoping to by the meeting. This is their busy season. So I would like to change my recommendation and say, with what we have to date with the red line track changes, did I capture everything in our discussions? Are you okay with what is in this packet? Because if you are, then I will try to reach out to him again. If you want to wait to have his buy-off on his investment policies before you officially update our financial policies. So don't approve anything tonight, please. But with what is in the packet, did I miss anything from our discussion? Is there anything you want me to add or research at this point?
I didn't see anything, Heather.
I didn't see anything. I don't think I saw anything. other
You
than what we
included
talked about.
those amounts that we
Right.
changed and
I think it looks good, Heather.
All right, then, I will, if you are okay with this, let me continue to try to reach out to him. I know there's not. So, but once he says, yeah, I'm fine with the investment policies, or no, I'm not okay with it, I will, David also sent me some statutes to research. I will make sure that the investment policies are tightened up, and then we'll work with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next is the Colorado Tree Coalition federal grant authorization.
Yes, I did an announcement in December because the tree board wanted to submit this grant, but their meetings fell such that we needed to submit it at a deadline. So I am retroactively, we were awarded the grant, so I'm retroactively asking you to accept the grant and authorize the mayor to execute the grant contract. It is $4,000. The tree board, if you will, all approve it and they receive the money. I will be helping them understand how they need to report. I'll do the reporting, but I will need information. So I'll be working with them to,
Did you say it's 1,000 or 4,000?
One.
Oh, okay.
and it is a federal grant.
Okay.
It is a federal grant, so the grant reporting standards are a bit higher. But they generally try to apply for this because it does help them with some public outreach and trees. And this specific grant was earmarked for updating town-owned trees. It hasn't been done in several years, so they want to update our tree. They want to hire someone.
Cool.
So I'll make a motion that we allow Heather to, or that we accept the grant for amount $1,000 from the Colorado Tree Coalition and authorize the mayor to execute the grant contract.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Ed Hallam and a second by trustee Richard Toker to accept the grant award in the amount of $1,000 from the Colorado Tree Coalition and authorize the mayor to execute the grant contract. Any further discussion? If not, Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee McManus.
Aye.
Trustee Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Hallam.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Tovar.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the Resolution 5, Series 2023, the Colorado Open Records Act update.
So, the Colorado Open Records Act means that citizens have access to public records. A lot of what we do, not every single thing, but quite a lot of what we do here is open to the public. So they can submit an open records request. We follow the state guidelines as the statutory term, and we also charge the same fees that the state charges. We do that because it's easier for citizens to understand. And they don't have to remember different regulations if you're asking us versus the state versus some other municipalities. So the state has updated their Open Records Act information and their fees. We have not updated or changed our policies since I started here. So what I'm asking is that we update our website and our information and our fees and our policies to match the state current policies. I just think it's easier for our citizens because a lot of times if they're searching Colorado Open Records Act, they're directed to the state website. They're not
They
directed
sure
to our
are.
website.
Yeah.
Or Durango or Cortez or the county or whatever. So it is just a suggestion of mine that we match and meet the state requirements on this specific item. It's very important that we're being as transparent as possible and our citizens are able to easily request and access.
Any discussion?
No, I think it makes good business sense to be the same as the state that we're in.
And David was also going to do all the rebel versions of the statute.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
So I would entertain a motion.
I move we adopt Resolution 5, Series 2023, a resolution of the Town of Mancos establishing policy for Colorado Open Records Act requests, including fees for research and retrieval of public records.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Brent McWhirter and a second by trustee Denise Bryant to adopt Resolution 5, Series 2023, a resolution of the Town of Mancos establishing policy for the Colorado Open Records Act requests, including fees for research and retrieval of public records. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee McDermott.
Aye.
Trustee Brent McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Holland.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryant.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Whitmer.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the design review guidelines discussion. Heather?
And this one, I'll kick it off, but then this is really for you all to decide and give us some direction. We discussed this at a workshop in 2022. These about amending or updating the design guidelines along the highway and in the commercial district. So we have been working with Safe Built. They reviewed the original guidelines that had been drafted. They were not included in our code. They were just a document that had been drafted. We had a couple of workshops. I sent documentation to Safe Built based on those workshops, that feedback that I received from you all. This is a general memo to make sure that we capture the overall vision, that the direction that you want to go in. If you like this, then it will be moved to the planning commission because they will start drafting text amendments and that kind of thing. If you have any feedback or any changes or anything you disagree with, I would like to know that because I do want to make sure before we move this to the planning commission that we're moving in the general direction that the board wants to go. So I don't know if you all have a chance to review these and look at them, if you have questions, if you have changes, if you want me to put this on another workshop or agenda for you all. I just need some feedback from you to see where we are in the process.
Well, I can start here. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
First of all, this was pretty easy to read for those of us who, this isn't our first language. So the very part on attachment A, the general standards, that first paragraph I think is really vague. And, it talks about, okay, so once are we really going to go detailing to exemplify the heritage and historic character of the Mancos Valley? Well, that could be of any interpretation. I think that's a really hard.
Yeah, I thought we asked to take that out.
Yeah, and then the next sentence is avoid using standardized corporate or franchise. Avoid, that's kind of a vague term also. Maybe we should just say not allowed to use standard or something like that. But I think that whole facade and what does it look like, the Mancos heritage and so on, I just think that's a really vague. And I know we talked a little bit about that.
It's just so difficult to try to say, this is what we want, this and nothing else. So I think the attempt here is to say that it can't just be a box. That's the, you know, what they're saying is that you've got to put some thought into what you plan to build. And I think what they're doing that in a vague way, of course, but they're also not directing them to do only this. Because if we say it's got to be this or it's got to be that, that's the only direction they're going.
Yeah.
With this, it gives them a little bit of ability to be creative. But at the same time saying, you've got to show us, when they present this, you could say, how does that fit into Mancos heritage?
Yeah,
and they're going to have to tell us how they feel.
It gives the town a little bit of teeth.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but it gives them a little bit of.
But it's also, like you say, it just says, exemplify the heritage and historic character. That's broad. We're not saying the Western heritage.
Right.
We're just saying
Well,
the heritage.
Well, let's back up then. So does that just exclude any type of contemporary design?
No, it's the heritage and historic.
So
that's
contemporary design in town.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, our latest building is like the library. Would it pass now? Would the
Yes, but
library?
that's our historic culture.
The library?
Yes.
How does that fit into this thing?
Well, it's not in the highway corridor anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but we're
just-
also talking about the commercial district.
It's not there either.
It's not really.
It's in
So,
residential.
in other words, when the Mancos Press goes to build their new section, that's kind of contemporary looking, right? If anybody's looked at their plans. I mean, I'm just saying, I think all this statement is pretty, eye is in the beholder here. Like, what does this mean to exemplify the heritage? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I see something, I know you guys are saying that the library doesn't fit into these corridors, but that's a pretty contemporary looking building. The new Mancos Press, that's going to be, I don't know. So I'm just not sure about this language.
So I was kind of thinking that sentence should just end after architectural detailing, or instead of that exemplify the heritage and historic character of the Mancos Valley, it could just say, and architectural detailing as outlined in this code. Sounds better.
So I'm thinking there seems to be some discussion on this. Maybe we ought to have a workshop on this, Heather, before we send it to P&Z.
Well, and I also would like to remind you that this is what P&Z is going to be using to draft specific language for the code. So to go back to your discussion, if you do not want to exemplify the heritage and historic character of the Mancos Valley, you don't need to draft that language right now. Somebody else will bring it to you. But, so I understand it's vague. If this isn't even the direction that you want to go in, then I'm going to cross it out. I would also like to say that this specific item relates back to two specific projects that, because we do not have any requirements in our code now, and we had public input and feedback on two specific projects. One of them was the lime green stripes on the Live Well building, and they were kind enough to remove them, even though there's nothing in our code. And the other one is the Dollar General building.
Family Dollar.
Without some type of language that says we want to see this type of building, then you get a square metal.
That's exactly
So you don't have to decide tonight what types of buildings. Is this the general direction you want to go?
Yes.
And if you don't want to include the heritage and historic character of Mancos, I take that out because that tells the P and Z what direction you want to go.
Okay.
If you leave it in, it gives them a very different direction.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily the code right now, this is just the.
This is the suggestion.
Suggestion.
To get them to
Right,
put-
right. And that's why I'm suggesting if that is such a good sentence for, if that's a good direction, if that sentence should even be left in. That's just.
But what we could do is
The whole intent.
so what we could do is let P and Z chew on it and see what they bring us back.
I'd rather that not be in there for them to chew on. And another question, so after we do we get a review board then? I don't know these things.
Your
So,
planning commission is
Is
going
the
to take
review.
this,
Yeah.
this is a guiding document
Yeah.
for you, to the planning commission.
yeah,
They're going to take whatever time they need to draft language and suggestions and pictures and, that kind of thing. And then come back to you to make sure their specific language is acceptable to you all. Then it goes back to them, and we have to have some public hearings and stuff.
okay, that's what I wanted to know. So we do get public hearings.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes, the
Yeah,
public can
we
actually
have
come to any one of these meetings and provide input to you.
okay.
Mhm.
So what this is telling me is like the Family Dollar down here. If we didn't go to them and ask them to make some aesthetics out front, it would just be a metal building.
Right,
It would be a box.
and they would have had an internally lit sign, which they almost got away with.
Well, and if you don't like the hair, oh, sorry, Brett, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, instead of putting the heritage and historic character of Mancos Valley, how about something along the lines that would be exemplify the small town character of the Mancos Valley?
Okay, but
Something along the lines, like change the words that, because what we're trying to get at here with this design review, from my previous experience from the workshops we've done in this before, is we don't want just a box that's up there, a metal box of a building like Dollar General is going to look like. Or, we want to have some input of how does that fit into our town?
and it does say that the next sentence, we could say, it says, then not allowed using a standardized corporate or franchise style type building. Leave that sentence, because that one's important.
Or just say using standard and corporate franchise styling of buildings is not allowed.
Or something along that line. I just think, it is such a vague sentence, this exemplify the heritage and historic characteristic, I don't know.
I know we had to
In
get,
general too, if you go into like architectural detailing, it gets into standards.
Mhm.
And so it gets more detailed as it goes. Those are kind of general statements. And as it says in the beginning, it's an intent. It's a suggestive, things like should, may, and then as we get, as it does this back and forth in the concept, we'll get to specific code elements that say you can't have, maybe 4 metal sides on a building and a roof, right? So it's in the details, I think, that we start to pull apart that, but we need to start at that big general 10,000 foot level and work our way down. That's the way I'm interpreting this stuff.
we had to get pretty specific with Family Dollar, and they did
Yeah.
There's a lot of arguments you guys had to go through.
a lot.
Yeah.
So I think I'm fine with the current direction of this, as far as like giving it to P and Z to look at and start going towards drafting something from it.
Yeah, no, I like it, except for that we outlawed Dayquil colors are inappropriate. What is Dayquil color?
I think,
Oh, like the 70s.
Like neon?
Fluorescent.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm pro keeping them that time.
Yeah.
I like this. I think if it reads well, I think it gives them something to bite into. And it gives us, it starts the kind of smash back and forth.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty user friendly. I could understand. But there's still a little bit of language in here I wanted to see removed before it goes to P&Z.
Well, why don't we let P and Z look at it, and then if we don't like it, when they look at it,
We'll
then
redirect them.
we can redirect them.
Okay.
Because they may throw out the same things you want to throw out.
They may say, how are we
Yeah.
supposed to provide
Because
that?
in the attachment D, the questions and considerations,
Right.
item C says, this is a subjective phrase and difficult for applicants and administrators to interpret. Because whose history? Are
Yeah.
we talking they need to be building a Hogan? or
That's what
a
I
sod
thought.
house,
Move before
or,
this.
you
So you're
know,
reading C there, right?
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah,
stable?
me too.
Or a stable?
Use
So-
the phrase could be subjective.
so we'll let the planning commission,
Yeah.
come to a conclusion.
Do you have any, feedback for me on that page that you are looking at?
No.
Are any of these A through F, is there anything specific that you want me to tell them? You know what, they want 10 bike spaces.
No.
They want 5 bike spaces. Is there anything in attachment D where you're like, I feel strongly as a board that this needs to be in there right now from this point on?
I kind of like D. My answer was yes on that one. And then E was also a yes. And F, I was just sort of like, what kind of standards or parameters? Like, no body parts that might be controversial for animals, or, sorry.
Right now, we
I
have
lost
nothing.
B. It's
So
not
I
in here.
follow the general rule of the town has
Oh,
nothing
okay.
to say about art unless it advertises a specific business or type of business, in which case it's considered signage and they follow
Right.
the sign code. Other than that, I got nothing on public art.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's gonna be on public property, then that's us, and, yeah.
Well, then it just comes back to, for me, in C is that western small town character of the historic Mancos Valley. So,
Well, that's consideration, that's the question, it says, do you want that?
yeah, and
we don't,
I think
so that
that's
gives them
versus contemporary design. So can we keep that with a contemporary design, or I would say
No,
just
I think
attach
just
that.
out
get it.
because it, like it says after that, it's too subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So these are just, this is what they're suggesting that we take out.
yeah, we should take that out.
Right, so this will go to P and Z, and P and Z will either agree or disagree, and if they say, no, we want that left in there, then it comes back to us and we say, no, we don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't,
And we
okay?
just take it
This-
out.
Yeah,
So I will put this on the, I think the March agenda maybe full with some comp plan stuff, which may take a little bit of time. So I will put this on the April agenda for P and Z unless you want me to fast track it with them. And I also would like to say, they're gonna take some time to come up with, ideas and suggestions and discussions. So, what I want to do is start putting under, committee reports. I want to start putting a Mancos P and Z update, so the 2 liaisons can update this board, moving forward with P and Z discussions, and this will be included, so that you can come back and say, this is what P and Z talked about, moving in the right direction, yes or no?
Yeah, that'd
And
be
we can
cool.
direct them.
So Heather, do we need to escalate this to get it in before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Virginia's already started.
Doesn't apply to anything.
Yeah, you can't-
But they don't have a complete submittal yet, because they don't have their access permit.
They don't, but I still think that we could potentially face some.
Yeah, we could.
They're gonna be grumpy if we,
right.
And I think that,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna do that because they have indicated willingness to work with us already on our
Okay.
details and signage. So as
Okay.
long as they're willing to work,
So we don't need to fast track it, right?
well, I don't even think we can, because this still has to go to P and Z. They have to come up with some drafts. You all are gonna have to discuss this various times along the way. We're gonna have to hold a public hearing at the planning commission for final text approval, then it's gonna have to come to you for final text approval, then it's effective 30 days after publication. Even if I fast track it, we're not gonna be done until June.
Yeah.
And that's
Special
special meetings.
ambitious, yeah, that's ambitious.
And I also think at that point, we could potentially miss something, or
Yeah.
And they are right now involved, very involved in a project. Or did they finish that project?
I was gonna
P and
say,
Z?
is there bandwidth at that April meeting, weren't they going over the manual?
For the April meeting, yes, they will have some time to discuss. The March meeting is, 4 chapters of the comp plan.
Yeah.
2 for final review and 3 for draft, or 2 for draft.
Yeah.
review.
So I think April, they, I don't, there's no way we could get it off for next week.
I
Okay.
mean, I can put it on there, but I think they're gonna be tired, and I don't know,
I think
This
we'd
is
be
gonna be a
defeating our
very difficult
purpose. I
discussion.
think we'd do it in April.
well, and it's gonna be a very difficult and involved, discussion, because we're drafting code language at
Yeah.
that level. So first of all, they're gonna have to be brought up to speed and reminded of the discussion. Then they're gonna have to review this to make sure they understand the direction you want them to go in. Then staff and the P and Z are gonna work together to draft actual text, and we're gonna talk about that. Then it should come back to you all at some point to be like, again, are you sure we're still going in the right direction? So I can absolutely put it on the March agenda, at least for this initial discussion, if you want to, I can do that.
I don't think we need to.
April.
Okay.
I really don't.
I think this needs more focus from them off the top, just to make the whole process easier.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is number 5, which is the resolution 6, 2023, for the protest dispatch IGA.
Okay, so last time we signed this IGA was in June of 2021. We just need to renew it for the new year. And the community has done a lot of work, so we're, as far as the IGA goes, we involved. It's actually, it's going, so when there's been no changes to the current IGA, there could be changes for the future, so, but as of right now, there's been no IGA changes. So I'm just asking that it be approved, and in the resolution, Brad Still, the appointed representative through the resolution, and I'm,
And you said you're okay with that?
yeah,
Yeah, you answered my question, which was, is it working?
yeah.
Okay, good.
I just got this, so I'm not real sure what I'm looking at. So is this that they're taking our 911 dispatch calls? Is that's what this whole thing's about, right?
Yeah, and it's our usage fee and what we can ask for, what we can, like, the service that they provide, it's just an intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah, and that's mostly the 911 services.
Well, and-
Dispatch.
You said,
It's not just the 911, there's so much more to it.
Okay.
So, they, radio traffic, calls for service, not just 911 calls,
Assistance.
medical, state highway issues within the town.
Okay.
A lot of stuff that goes into that.
And so does this also then have to do with how much we owe them? Like we pay X amount, is that in here? Okay, that didn't change?
According to your calls.
Well, it changes every year.
Yeah, I know the amount changes. I'm just
Yeah.
asking if that, I think we had a little disagreement one time with them, how much they were trying to charge or something.
Well, no, it goes into the way they bill us.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, but this is all,
Have we got anything
right.
future with the bill? No. But that's totally different.
Oh,
Just the resolution.
And it goes off to number of calls. We ran through the same thing with the fire department. So it goes off numbers of calls that you get called.
But
Okay.
the calculation of the fee each year
Yeah.
has not changed.
that's what I wanted to
That's
know.
in IGA. Nothing has changed from the last time it was reviewed.
Okay,
We're just asking to.
okay. All right, I got it.
We're an average of 5 or 6% user as a marshal's office.
Okay.
If it's changed, it will come back to you all.
Okay.
First it's a big, and then it'll come back to you all for the with Justin's recommendation.
Okay.
He's actually, like he said, Brad is on the committee that's working on it, so we will have buy-in and
And the reason I'm not primary is
Okay.
I find being an alternate, but it's better that I'm not the main representative.
Cool. I just.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Cortez Dispatch IGA.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Brett McWhirter and a second by trustee Nick Manning to approve Resolution 6, Series 2023, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement for dispatch services throughout Montezuma and Dolores counties, Colorado, including federal agencies, authorizing Mayor Ellen Cummey Bars to execute the dispatch services intergovernmental agreement, and authorizing the Mancos Marshal to appoint a representative and an alternate to the Accountability Committee to represent the town of Mancos. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Hallam.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Gephardt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is a executive session.
Do we want to do items for the March 22nd agenda while everybody's here?
Yeah.
And then do the executive
Yeah.
session?
That sounds good.
Sorry.
Okay,
Nice try, guys.
Yeah, they could.
They couldn't wait to get out of here.
Man,
Justin,
got their sneakers on.
This is part of the executive session.
Red ball flyers.
Okay, so, what Jory just presented today, the skate park improvement, maybe get a little more how they're doing that versus what's in our park master plan. It sounds like they've got a little different thing going on.
Well, they're supposed to come back with a proposal next meeting, aren't they? Is that what they said they're gonna?
Well, that's what they want to do.
That's what they want to do, and
Right.
It sounds more like a rearrangement of the existing equipment more than anything.
yeah,
So you guys have two options.
okay,
You can either do nothing, in which case we'll say thank you so much, we are not moving forward. Or you can direct staff to work with them, in which case I'm gonna get together, first of all, I'll let her know they wanted us to work with you, however, staff needs to get together with the board because we have an existing work plan and we have existing priorities. And we're happy to adjust at your direction, but we need to know what you want us to put off, what you want us to not do, because it is going to be a big project.
okay.
Well, and
So,
the skate park was what, like third or fourth on the priority, and we wanted to do it right, like with a pit, or a bowl and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds like they're just gonna like
Move stuff
rehash
around.
what we have and
They
get
also
somebody out
might
there to
not know
weld
that we
stuff.
have some of those priorities, and maybe between them and us, we can come up with something better.
Well, yeah, I just think it's weird that somebody would go out and get funding and not even like talk with us about it first. I think that's odd.
Yeah, is that what happened? It does seem.
That's what they said.
Well, they have funding. I don't think they got funding
I don't know if they
specifically for
necessarily
this.
specifically got the funding for that, but they have some funding through their organization that they're willing to use for this, is more what I
I
got
think
from
it's
that.
for
Right.
the state park.
and they
Yeah.
have been talking to the town. The original plan to the town, and Terry can chime in if I'm missing anything. The original plan was to remove the gravel because the gravel gets on the path.
And we talked about that
And we did do-
long
this
time
is the
ago.
same group.
Yeah,
We did do that. Then they came back and wanted to do something to the shade structure, but they had like a student welder or something. And I'm sorry, at that point, I stepped in and said, no. Any changes that we're making in our parks, we have some standards that we have to follow, we have insurance.
Yeah.
So that
Liability.
kind of went by the wayside. And then what we finally said, because there was some back and forth, well, can we? So what we finally said was, you need to submit something to us in writing. I will say, I had no idea it was this involved, because it caught us off guard a little bit. We had originally thought they just wanted to kind of play with the components and put some benches and a shade structure. I didn't realize they were kind of redesigning the entire park. So this did catch us off guard a little bit. But they did put something in writing, because again, we did say, there was so much back and forth, we need to find.
I was on board when we did the skate park originally, and we had kids design it, and now they're like, oh, well, we have to have kids design it, so it's right. But we did that. It didn't work. I would rather take our time, do what we said we were gonna do in our comp plan that we just, ratified or whatever, and do it with professional design and do it right this time. So that we're not redoing it every 10 years.
Because there's tons of responsibility and liability in that part.
Yeah.
I will say, if you want us to move forward at least with discussion with them, I will ask, and I'll notify them so that they're not blindsided, but I will ask that they be held to the same standard that we are held to if we are building a skate. I'm gonna want resumes and number of staff who are working on the project and their qualifications. They're gonna have to provide insurance. I'm gonna, poor David's hearing about this for the first time. I'm gonna have an independent form of contract for not only design, but also construction. They're gonna have to provide insurance. They're gonna have to provide the 2-year warranty that the guy did. I mean, it's gonna be pretty involved. I don't know if they realize that, because I will say, I was caught off guard by the scope of their proposal.
Okay.
I don't think it was that grandiose.
It is.
If they are proposing to construct and install a new component.
That's dangerous.
Well, they said in the future.
That's what
They said in the future.
That's in the proposal
Right.
that we have received. So I don't mind talking to them and working with them. I wouldn't object if you wanted us to do that. But I would, I know it might be unpopular, but I would say, first of all, I need the board to prioritize some of we have an existing work plan, we have some existing projects. So we need to reprioritize for us, because I think this may be a time-consuming project. And second of all, are they completely understanding the standard they're going to be held to?
Right.
So
and what
I don't mind moving forward. I can't promise you the project's going to, after some of these items are discussed, I don't know if they're going to want to go forward with the project.
Well, and what bothers me with it is like, so they come in and work 2 days and then they're off 3 days. The guy that we have watching the process, what's he gonna do? Well, how long is it gonna take?
And I don't have any of
I mean, they're not a contractor that we hired to go in there and do this. They're not gonna go in there and work 7 days a week until they get it done.
I haven't,
Yeah.
on that part, we haven't quite got that, in
Well, that's where you give them what the requirements will be and let them look at them.
Right.
And then they're gonna say, holy shit, no.
Right.
You know?
I mean, I think
Well,
that's
me.
They kill that whole thing dead water for them. But I think we have to hold that standard. So it's like, if they want to do all that, then, I don't know. I think we do have the skate park in our master plan, but also the way I interpret what they're saying is this is kind of a stopgap to make more kids use in the short run. On one hand, I like that they went and got funding and can help provide maybe in the next couple of years while we do our work, this will get us to that next step. But I do think we have to hold them to that same standard.
Yeah, whatever they do.
Right.
Yeah. The welder, I think that, because they approached me about it, and it's like, oh, a guy that skateboards in Dolores has some ideas and he's a welder. It's like, well, geez, that's town property, we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son's a
certified.
welder too, and, I'm not gonna turn him loose. And they're tearing up concrete, and then where they reposition that, they're gonna have to just destroy that concrete to put it there, so they're gonna weaken that concrete. I would suggest that you guys, tell them this is what we're gonna expect from you and the proposal, and then bring it to us. I wouldn't put them on the next agenda, because I don't think they're ready to come to us. I think you guys need to say, the board wants this, 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 and this, and this is what you're gonna be held to. And then see if they wanna come to us. Because they're gonna wanna start on this, like, if they come to us, they're gonna wanna start on it like the day after. And there's too much involved.
So if they're willing to meet all of our requirements,
Right.
then I will also need to know from you all how you want us to reprioritize our work plan for 2020.
Yep.
Right.
And again, we're not opposed to that, but we can't add this with CDOT and water tank and
Yeah.
power lines
Yeah, yeah.
and annexation lines that we need to run. You know, the grant,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm killing them on grants and projects and so, and the marshal's office building.
Right.
Pickleball.
So if you want me, pickleball. So if you just, that was the other piece of this was we had prioritized oil.
Mm-hmm.
We can only manage so many projects.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if I reach out to them and they're willing to meet our expectations, understand that we're gonna come to you and say, what are we?
Yeah.
Right.
What are we doing in our work plan?
So Boyle was number one, right?
Yeah.
And then what was number two? The pump track?
Okay, let me go on.
I think that reaching out to them and letting them know what the standard is, I think is the first step that we need to take with them. I don't wanna, say we're just gonna go ahead and put this on the agenda for the next meeting or anything until we let them know what our standard is, but I also think that we as a board are gonna get a lot of backlash from the community if we don't at least have a discussion with them on this.
Do we know how much money they got? Like, I mean, that to me, that felt super vague, we might do this, we might do this, we might do this. And the difference in the work plan of like, oh, it's a day of moving a couple things versus like, we want to add a bunch of new gear and get welders in there. I mean, that's a huge difference of like a day versus like a month of work. And cost, like, part of me is like, well, if they got a $2,000 grant, well, yeah, maybe it's one day of people moving things around versus like $100,000 grant and they can go do some damage at the skate park. So I'm kind of curious what's actually going on in the details.
I will find out. I hope that I'm not misspeaking. But at one point, I received a handwritten piece of paper that stated somebody had made donations. I think it was from the skate park. And when I approached the group about, can we put this in trust? And then utilize that for grant matching or something. They want to manage their own project and their own budget. So I don't know what their budget is. What I can do though is reach out to her and say, so we wanted to let you, the board is interested. We're not ready to put it on an agenda. The board is interested in hearing more. However, here are the standards you're going to be held to. Can you meet them? And if so, when you present to the board, they want to know your budget. They want to know exactly what you want to do. She did send something that said in this Google Drive, here are some, I couldn't open the Google Drive to see what the proposals were or whatever. So, but we need that information. So
And a time frame.
Time frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because if we're taking somebody off of staff doing something else, then time frame's pretty important.
Well, it costs too. If their ambitions exceed their bank account, I don't want us to get going on something or them to get going on something and then suddenly it's like, well, oh, we're out of money and it's like half the skate park is in tatters.
That goes back to our standards being met.
Yeah.
We will require insurance or a bond or something that says if you can't finish the project, we'll finish it at your expense.
Great.
Cindy.
When we were reviewing the comp plan, you went over with us like some of the outreach that you did with the kids. Can you refresh our memories on what you did and why the skate park ended up as 3? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
On the Parks and Trails Master Plan, yes. We had public meetings, we had kids here, and DHM's pulled them aside and we had received their input. And then Jamie and I went to the school specifically and met with all the age groups in the performance center and then the middle school in their little section. And we specifically got their feedback we had the Boyle Park and the skate park and the sports complex and, all the various things and we got their feedback. And we saw however many students were in school that day. The number one response from the kids was Boyle Park. In Boyle Park, it was sand volleyball and pickleball. Number two was the sport complex at the airport property, understanding that's a $20 million project.
Right.
Sorry, it's not staff's number two, it just.
Yeah.
And number three was the skate park. They liked the skate park, I don't wanna say that they weren't interested in the skate park.
Yeah.
But that is why staff, when we were talking about what grants and stuff we're gonna go for next year in work plan, that's why we chose oil, because we needed a planning grant and a construction grant. And then the plan was planning and construction of oil, and once construction is kicked off, planning at the skate park. Because then by the time it's done there, we can construct there, because Terry's one person. And honestly, he's the one that's managing, he's the one we all look to, we all help, but he's the one that we look to manage these projects.
And he's only got one arm.
And he only has one. So that was the feedback that we received at the public meeting, sand volleyball and pickleball. And then they love the idea of the sports complex.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, we all do.
I do
You know,
too.
That's gonna be when they've got grandkids, you know.
So, and
Serious.
then the skate park was very close for you. I don't want to make it sound like they weren't interested at all, they were, but, Boyle Park was their number one priority.
It's still our number one focal point.
It should be, yeah.
And updating the playground stuff.
Yeah, I think,
Sand volleyball and pickleball would be.
I'm like Brand, I think we need to, reach out to them because of the community input. If we don't, that's gonna put egg on our face, but give them our standards, and when they get our standards, I don't know that they're going to be able to hold up to those, because I don't think that they've thought this out well enough. I mean, I think they're,
I just think we need to have the dialogue.
right,
And not just, thank you for coming, and then blow them off.
right. Well,
Right, and we don't need to put it on the agenda. That wasn't,
Maybe that's all I'll let them know is they're interested in hearing more. They're not ready quite yet to put it on an agenda. They're asking for this.
yeah.
Which is for me to let them know their standards.
Yeah.
And can we work with Terry and JD? And to let them know their standards. Can you meet these?
Yeah.
And if you can, then we'll put it on the agenda, but the board is going to ask you, and you need to give us ahead of time your presentation. That includes your budget, your project timeline.
A lot more details when they go on the agenda.
And from the town standpoint, qualifications, you know.
And make sure that they get that portion of our Parks and Rec master plan that discussed what the kids really wanted.
Yeah.
Because it just seems a shame to waste, like, 10 to 20 grand. We're just gonna rip it out in 4 years anyway. It just seems silly
Redundant.
to me.
You put that in a new pickleball court.
So I will do that.
Boyle Park.
We'll talk about that and figure out what to do. And either way, we'll keep you posted. If they decide that they can't meet the standards, then it's just during announcements, we're gonna say, hey, we're really doing that. We're not moving forward with that. And then if they can meet them and they're going to do a presentation at that same meeting, we're gonna ask you, okay, what do we cut, where do we reprioritize, what can we do? Okay.
It'd be the sports complex.
Not if you want to spend money on public art.
Okay, so also on the March 22nd agenda, we've got the communication, public outreach discussion. And then we've got the comprehensive plan update, review chapters 2 and 4 from the planning and zoning.
Because the P and Z has to finalize those, so
Yes.
now they'll come to you all for your input and review. I also wanted to know if you wanted a discussion of Proposition 122. Proposition 122 legalized psychedelics and mushrooms. CML is having some discussion. Some municipalities are having some discussion as far as trying to figure out legislation now to manage that. Can communities opt out? Do we want local control? That kind of thing. Do you want to discuss that, or are we all about local control in the new legislation, which allows you to set the rules for that once the program starts? Or do you want to talk about following state rules and That's-
I think it
Just say
definitely
no.
warrants a discussion so that we can understand the ins and outs and, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely implications.
Definitely needs to be some participation in that.
Well, not unless, once the legislation passes, if they authorize local control, then it comes back to you. Because then you decide, do you want to opt out altogether, legalizing it, but at this point, there's still what position do you want CML to take? Do you want them to advocate for local control, do you want them to, what do you want them to advocate for? So it'll be a brief discussion, but I can bring back the actual summary of the legislation and some other responses from the manager list. So I'll put that on March 22nd.
Okay.
And just, I forgot to do it in announcements. We did get a thank you letter from Hospice of Montezuma, thanking us for the donation of $1,500. It has helped to provide peace of mind for these families. And it just says down here, thank you for your ongoing support for Hospice of Montezuma through your grant program. So this was very, just wanted to let you guys know that we did receive that. You did reach out to us.
Anything else for the March 22nd?
I just need to know if I'm moving, if I'm moving that item, maybe, or if it's gonna be.
What item?
Okay, the people with the water leak on Menifee have approached to be on the agenda. This is another item that I've made the decision as the mayor that I think it needs to go on the agenda so that it can be answered in public because this person is a teacher at the school. Her husband works at the school, and there's a lot of discussion going around town. And so, and what's going around town is not what we have been told, and we have our proof. So I just feel like it needs to come to a public meeting and be decided by the board. Heather and I were going to put him on the March 22nd. We reached out to him and told him that I had agreed to put him on the March 22nd agenda, and they are going to be out of town on March 22nd. It's spring break, and so they're going to be gone. So I need a consensus from the board. Do we say no? March 22nd is the deadline. You'll be here because they haven't fulfilled the agreement that they made with us. So if they don't show up if we say the 22nd and they don't show up, we have the rights to shut their water off. If we move it to the 15th or in April, and I suggested the last meeting in April, then we can't do anything with the water. But I just need a consensus. I do think it needs to go on the agenda, and so I need to know if you guys want to do it on the 22nd and say this is your deadline, be here, or
I guess my question is, what people say and what is real is, that's always, that's suspect. But my thing is they agreed to something, they haven't fulfilled it. Why do we have to bother? We've already made that. We've gone through our, due diligence.
Right, but what they're saying out in the community, if we have a public hearing, we have it in public and we can quote our code that we don't have the authority to waive those rights because we have bonds and things to pay, then we are backing and we're backing and protecting our staff because they're saying, well, the staff hasn't done this, the staff hasn't done that. We're making that decision per state statute. And so that's how we're making our decision. It was like Live Well. Everybody wanted us to stop that sale. We couldn't stop that sale because it was public property. It was private property. We couldn't stop Live Well from moving there because they met every criteria of putting that building there. If we stand up to these people because it's state statute that we don't have the authority, the staff doesn't have the authority to waive those,
It's our local code, right?
but it's our local code.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't have that authority either. Then we're back in our decision and staff's decision by legalities.
So,
And
so,
it's
That's what
on
we did
the
to begin
record.
with.
so Queenie, I look at it this way. If we don't meet with them publicly, we are backing our staff, we're supporting our staff. I mean, if we let every person that has a complaint with the town administrator or the town clerk come in here and have a public meeting, we're cutting the legs off our employees. Why are we even paying them? I mean, we shouldn't even be paying them if we're gonna have to answer all the questions.
Yeah.
They're the front line of support.
Don't we have a mechanism for if someone doesn't agree with administrator decision, they can apply for something?
Like a grievance policy or something, grievance or?
It seems like we discussed it, and I don't know if it ended up in our code or not. Or was that just with land use?
We do have a board of adjustment, that's more.
But that's in
I don't know.
land
Yeah, that's a different-
Yeah, that's a land use thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Which is
don't,
another
I think if I'm acting unethically or illegally or.
Yeah.
Something about that.
There's absolutely, I know there's a staff mechanism to get to you guys.
It's like a
Yeah.
It's a
If I'm doing something
whistleblower
wrong.
policy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But I don't know if there's anything in our.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it was just for administrative decisions for the land use part of our
There
code.
is definitely a
Yeah.
mechanism in chapter 16. Utilities are governed under chapter 13.
Okay.
And there is no mechanism. The hardship clause was
Yeah.
removed under my predecessor.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to agree with Richard and what Ed has said. I don't really think it needs to be put on the agenda. I don't think we need to publicly, they know what's going on, and I don't think that it needs to be on the agenda.
I don't think we're gonna get any, we tell them this is what we're doing because this is this and that, which we've already basically done. They're still gonna have the same bitch. They're still gonna say the same thing because they've already known what why and how.
We just keep
It's not
ripping,
like they haven't been informed.
we just
Right.
keep ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and it just puts it more out in the public. Not everybody knows about this. So I'm just saying we have been very transparent about this. So I disagree. I just don't think it needs to be on the agenda.
I mean, I see Queenie's point. I mean, if it comes to us and we deny it, it takes pressure off the staff, right? It's our decision, and we just quote the code. And if the buck lands with us, they can bring all their friends, they can be mad at us, not the staff.
Right.
On the other hand, I think if rumors and disgruntled people drive our agenda, that's a recipe for disaster. And I just think in this town's full of disgruntled people and rumors. And I just think that if that becomes an avenue to get to the board and an agenda, then we're going to have 8-hour meetings for the next,
Yeah.
years. So I just think we have to avoid that, kind of pressure from the town to get something when you're pissed off.
I agree. I think that, a decision was already made in this, and an agreement was made with them of how to remedy this situation, and they are not upholding their end of it. I'm sorry, but that's it.
Cindy?
I totally get where you're coming from.
I'm just trying to protect our staff.
Yeah, but I think I agree with how Nick put it very succinctly, that it just opens that door for everybody to come to us. And all we've done is say, that's something that staff deals with, go talk to staff. And I think we're just gonna.
It's the lead in the park argument all over again.
Yeah,
Spring in the park
where they
argument
just
100
keep
times
coming
over.
back. And
Just come back to weeds.
just
I'm
like
back.
weeds.
I'm back, but
Yes,
it follows me everywhere. So
yeah.
I just think that
We go to the weeds again.
Yeah, so speaking of getting into the weeds, I don't wanna open the door at all. I think that the best way that we can show that we support staff is that because we're discussing this in a public meeting right now. And so, if they want to look at it, they can see it and hear it, and their friends can know. We're all on camera, hi. But I think our staff is spot on with their decisions, with their tracking of conversations and emails and phone calls and what was told to whom when. And I think we could best support our staff if we just say, no, there's no reason to come to us because we have no mechanism to do anything about it anyway.
Well, sometimes
Yeah.
the best way for us to support our staff is for us to do nothing.
Yeah.
So just be real adamant in your letter back to her that majority of the board voted not to put it on the agenda, but there is no mechanism for the board to waive those fees, either because,
no mechanism.
there is no mechanism for even the board.
Yeah.
Because it was a little vague in Heather's email to her that only the board had that authority. And if we don't have that authority, then that needs to be very explicit to them, that we can't even do that.
Dave, is that correct? David?
Yeah, there's nothing in the code that allows for that, whether or not you could, it sounds like a bad idea, like, make certain exceptions for people who don't want to pay the utility bills, because nobody wants to pay their utility bills.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you come?
Exactly.
Right. So, and then if you treat people differently, it's kind of unfair, or nobody's going to want to pay it, and it's kind of discriminatory towards people who can't pay it.
Yeah.
So.
That's it, let's all not pay.
Well, and that's a really good point too, because if we just are gonna let people out of it, then what's the incentive for anybody to fix their water leak?
Or to hold people accountable for their water usage.
Yeah. So, I think just make it really, really clear, and, Heather, if you want David to also sign it, because of the legality, things or whatever.
My thing is, it was just a little vague in there, because she did say the board has the authority, and then down the bottom, there is no authority.
Well, I guess the board can do just about anything they want, but yet we still want to follow our codes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so.
Why would we want to buy it?
Make sure that I put this in the correct order, and that I'm more clear.
Yeah,
We're
just
not
make
gonna
sure
vote
that it is, and that the majority of the board decided not to put it on the agenda. And
Due
that,
to the fact that there's no mechanism in our code that authorizes waiver.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
we can hear them out, but we can't do anything, so.
And they can come to public comment. We
Yeah,
can
they
hear
can
them
come
out.
in public
We
comment.
can't do anything
But
there
any-
either.
anyone.
No more, no less.
We were talking about items for the next agenda.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Again, you're always welcome to come during audience business and address the board for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that it's just our standard audience business.
Mhm.
Because everybody can come. Okay.
Right.
I will work on that tomorrow. I'll run the email by David before I send it, at least, because I'm going to respond to her via email.
Mhm.
So I will run it by David, and then get it out.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, and sorry that you guys take all the heat, but
Sorry.
Listen, you guys, I don't mind that at all. I have zero problem upholding your account. I know that sometimes my decisions aren't popular, but by virtue of the citizens paying taxes, it's actually their tax dollars paying me to do a job.
Yeah.
So.
I like that.
Hey, I'm a taxpayer too.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a- I
anything?
don't like all the laws either, so I don't follow them.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and so do we.
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
know,
have to.
We have to too, and so I was just.
I just took an oath tonight about that,
Right,
so.
right.
Yes,
Right.
it was a
All right,
great
guys.
reminder. to
Okay,
all of us.
let's move on.
Let's move on.
All right,
Almost past my bedtime.
okay, so.
Richard turns into a pumpkin at 9.
Hey, I used to get up early in the morning when I was
Yeah, can I just
9 o'clock's my bedtime.
Is it personnel?
No, you have to.
Oh, I thought it was for
What sides?
negotiation.
What hospital?
Is this for negotiations?
Receiving legal advice, but the
For B,
entire-
this one.
The entire, and potentially, I'm not sure, so I covered it all, because we're going to be providing you with some information,
4B
depending on,
and 4E.
what your thoughts and stuff are, they
Okay.
will
Okay.
act accordingly.
So when I make the
So that's why I
motion,
did both statutes.
okay, so when I make the motion, I should do it with M on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, and just read that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. But you have something first, right?
Next thing on the agenda is an executive session. And so we will adjourn this meeting and
We have to make a motion and stuff to go.
Woodbury.
Entertain a motion.
I have to entertain a motion to go to do the.
I'll make a motion.
I move we go into executive session for a conference with the town attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-402 4B and to determine position relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-402 4E with regard to the violation at 422 Grand Avenue.
Second.
Okay. It's, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, do you turn this one off?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think,
Yeah, I gotta say
there's
this,
something-
I gotta say this. Okay, it's, March 8th, 2023, and the time is 8:55 PM. For the record, I am the presiding officer, Mayor Queenie Bars. As required by the Open Meetings Law, this executive session is not being electronically recorded. David needs to say that. For our lawyer's request. Also present at this executive session are the following persons: Trustee Nick Manning, Trustee Britt McWhirter, Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson, Trustee Ed Hallam, Trustee Janice Bryant, Trustee Richard Toker, Town Administrator Heather Alvarez, Town Clerk Treasurer Jamie Higgins, Town Attorney David Lieberman, and Marshal Justin Goodall. I caution each participant, this is an executive session for the following purpose: for a conference with the town attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-402 4B, and to determine position relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations. Develop strategy for negotiations and instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-402 4E with regard to the violation at 422 Grand Avenue. I caution each participant to confine all discussion to the stated purpose of the executive session and that no formal action may occur in the executive session. If at any point in the executive session any participant believes that the discussion is going outside the proper scope of the executive session, please interrupt the discussion and make an objection.